if you buy into the idea that knowledge is no longer scarce and the premium on it is coming down, and you buy into that idea, and you can choose whether you buy into that it's going to the frequency era or something else. That's up to you. That you will recognize that the primary method of development needs to change. If knowledge is no longer that valuable.
What do you mean by that? The primary method of development? What type of development?
If knowledge is no longer that valuable, then learning is no longer the primary method of development.
Okay.
Accumulating information is no longer as useful as it used to be, right? It's not to say that it's not valuable at all. What I'm saying is that it's not the primary method of development anymore. And so when we go through these economic shifts, that the primary method of development that people basically think is the only way to develop because of how the economic structure has been built around it, that changes, right? So in the industrial era, people went to vocational schools. They trained their muscles, the ability to manage production, how to use machines, right? They learned those skills. And then when the automation happened, then people started going to college. They started taking courses. They started going to seminars, right?
Yeah.
And because the training target changed, changed from muscles and skilled labor to loading information into your mind, right? Now, when that is shifting, what it means is that the training target needs to change.
Yes.
And so what I'm suggesting to people is that the new training target is the capacity of our nervous system, and that the most effective way, or potentially at this point, the only way that I'm aware of to expand the capacity of our nervous system is to upgrade our subconscious programs, our frequency. And so that training target would shift, and when we expand the capacity of our nervous system, it shifts the state of our nervous system and allows us to express these 12 human intelligence capacities, and then we start thinking and doing and applying all the stuff from there.
Right. So instead of focusing on behavior, we're focusing on frequency, and as a result, the outcome and the output, the behavior changes.
Indeed, yeah. And then what we bring to the learning changes.
Yes.
Right. What we try to learn changes. Why we are deciding that is the thing that we should learn. How we retain it. How we use it.
Right.
Right. And so it's like it's a shift in where to focus, and I think that is such a powerful idea, right, for people to consider. Because it's obvious. Like, how many more seminars and keynotes and masterminds do you need to go to realize that you've hit it's a ceiling, that it's not taking you any further?
Right.
How many more books and podcasts do we need to read to realize that the next book, and then we forget it a week later, right? I hope that this book gives you some new insights, but reading the book alone is not going to change anything.
Listening to this podcast, watching this podcast is not going to change anything.
How many more social media posts saying something like totally meaningless do we need to save and look at to think that it's doing something? And so I think that that it's not that learning doesn't matter. It's that that we've learned so much that at this point now the ability is to figure out how to use what we already have much better, and that's precognitive.
Well, that's application that requires action. We've already know that someone can grab this book on Amazon. What should they do next? They get the book, they read the book. Great.
Yeah.
Then what?
Well, it's pretty interesting because people know, right? Okay, so if I read a book about fitness, if I read a book about professional performance, that I'm not going to be more fit, right? That I actually have to go out and do something afterwards.
Yeah.
To do that, it works in the same way.
Got it.
And so, in order to develop our frequency, and then to be able to access those capacities more reliably or consistently, that we need to train our frequency. And frequency training at its simplest form is building new dominant neural pathways in our mind that permanently shift the state of our nervous system.
Yeah.
And so That is the method. It's like going now that you decided you want to exercise. Now you go to the gym. Frequency training is going to the gym for your nervous system.
Outside of getting the book as an action, as we wrap up, for someone watching or listening, and they're like, okay, I resonate with this. I understand knowledge, the capacity to learn more is shifting. There is a change. I feel it. What's the one thing outside of the book? What could they do next? Simple action that they could just take to think about just getting some clarity.
Let's see. So the ENCODED process is relatively inexpensive, and within 45 to 90 minutes, it takes you through a guided process that most people say it's either the clearest or one of the most clearest I've ever been in my life. And so I think, like, whether you want to commit to training for 30 days or however long you want to, that process is super powerful and costs $79. And so I'd recommend doing that as an initial step, which is called the frequency mapping process. Within our training system, we recommend doing a frequency mapping every 60 to 90 days, right? It's kind of like getting a blood test.
Sure.
Right? You're going to do you're going to apply some methods, and then you're going to get a baseline. You're going to apply some methods and get a baseline. But just as a first step to experience what it feels like, I think that can, it's a reflection and visioning process that I've developed over the past 5 years, and it's been wildly powerful for my life.
So as a recommendation, having gone through that experience myself,
Nice.
it is clear. I have felt more clear, more confident, more grounded, and it's nothing outside of myself. It's all looking within.